is, amongst MVPs, an absolute legend. He's an 18 times MVP. That's longer than I've been using Excel. 19. Really? Wow. 19 times MVP. He's a lovely guy. The thing about Ken is, as you'll see with the video I'm going to show later, no matter who you are, no matter what walk of life you're from, when you meet him in person, he's just so lovely to you. It is Ken Puls. Give him a huge round of applause.
So I am super happy to be back here for, what are we, 6 instances. This is the 5th one. I missed one. I always enjoy coming to Bulgaria. Just for a fun note here, I landed at 6 p.m. last night. It is currently 2 in the morning, according to my brain, so I am hoping to stay awake through my whole presentation. But if I do fall asleep, please somebody throw something at me. I will not be offended. So today, what I'm going to talk about, the first thing I'm going to say is that right now, there is absolutely zero AI in my presentation. None. Thank you. You are my people. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about automating Excel without code today. And basically, the sort of the premise behind this is that the example I'm going to be going through. Oh yeah, this is me, by the way. I'm an accountant. I write software. I do stuff. What we're going to do is we're actually going to look at what's called a continuity schedule. This is an accounting-based workflow. It's something that I'm very familiar with. I had to do lots of these throughout my life. And as it happens, this is an example that I actually use when I'm teaching people how to write VBA. Having said that, one of the things I really like doing is building applications, and I'm always looking for different ways to approach these things. So I thought, you know what, let's see if we can go through and do things a little bit differently here without writing any code at all. So just to give you an idea as to how this works, it's broken down into 3 phases. Accountants do this every single month end, is for lots of different accounts. So we start by opening our file, we save it under a new name, we go and update some data, we copy and paste, we clear some input fields. Then we go and we add new stuff into it, and then after that we get into the process of what we call reconciliation, which is where we look at things and try and figure out if they're supposed to be there or not. So, it's kind of it's a boring accounting workflow because let's face it, accountants are boring. I am one, I'm allowed to say that, okay? So the observations that I sort of want to give you here is that there's a lot of manual work that goes on in this process. Manual work, of course, is prone to errors, right? I mean, this is the one thing we know. If you want to make mistakes in a spreadsheet, what do? You add a human. It's pretty simple. So what I want to do here is I actually want to take the steps to go through and automate as much as I can to try and remove the human for the process, but actually have the human focusing on the parts that are important, the parts that should never be outsourced to something like AI or whatever else. And that generally tends to be on the right side of this diagram where we're reviewing and making changes. But the game we're playing here is how can we use IT-friendly technologies, because one of the challenges that we're probably all aware of here, how many of you have an IT department that hates VBA, so they lock it down so you're not allowed to use it? How many of your IT departments lock down Office scripts, the new and friendly automation language and whatnot? So this is a challenge, right? Like anything that you can do to make your life faster, IT says, oh no, we're not gonna let you do that. You just go do your work faster without using these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop into a demo. I do want you to be aware here that what I'm going to go through today is technical. It is going to be fast. I am not expecting you to remember or learn anything from what I'm doing. It's really more of an inspiration of some of the stuff that can be done. Because of the time constraints that I have here, I am going to cheat at a couple of locations here. I'm going to use my Monkey Tools software as well to make things a little bit faster. How many of you are using Monkey Tools today? Well, that's a disappointingly low show of hands. All right. Hopefully I can inspire you guys to go and take a look at some of this. I will call out what is free, what is not when we're working with Monkey Tools. We'll just sort of show you a workflow that I've gone through to build this spreadsheet into an application. So here is the basic look of it. So you can see that, in the green cells, we enter data. So this will show you a little bit how I set up my work as well. Anything green means go. If it's not green, leave it alone. Plain and simple. So the normal workflow here, if I'm going to work through something, is I'm going to go and start like this. I'm in my July schedule. I'm going to go File. I'm going to do a nice little Save As. We're going to make sure that we save it on our local computer because we hate saving on SharePoint. I'll just save it as next month. And what you're going to see is that as soon as I do this, I get a red bar across the top here. Fun little thing here that I actually discovered is if you use a Lambda function in a conditional format, it actually recalcs immediately when you resave it. If you use it in a cell, it does not, which is interesting. So this is how I can actually get this working. So I'm going to go and change the date on this. We're going to go and make this August 31st here. There we go. That'll go away. And then the next process that I would generally go through is this process. We go right-click, and we copy, and we right-click, and we paste values, and we copy, and we paste values, and then we go and we grab this stuff here, and we press delete. And now we're ready to start doing some work. Anybody done this kind of thing before? Yeah, okay, cool. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Let's bring all this back here. So I want to get rid of that process because this is one of the things I've discovered about humans is when you ask them to do this kind of stuff, invariably they screw it up because that's really hard. So, a couple of other things are worth noting about the spreadsheet. There's some formulas in here. If I press F2 that are referring to the table, we're not going to go through what the formula does, don't care, but at the end of the day, here's the deal of what I want to do. I am going to use Power Query to do this work. This is probably not a surprise if you know me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to update that table by grabbing my Power Query from the previous month's file and doing this roll forward work. But in order to do this, I also need a little bit of extra stuff. Just to quickly show you here, there is no Power Query inside my file whatsoever at this point in time. There are, however, some folders because I'm just organized like that and make stuff up to begin with. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to inject a couple of functions. If you guys are familiar, who here has read Monkey, or M is for Data Monkey or Master Your Data? Okay, well, the rest of you, you're missing out. Amazing book, Master Your Data. On page 313, you will find a little function which is called it's the fn get parameter function. Monkey tools, much easier than typing the whole thing. You can just inject it into your workbook. So I have my fn get parameter function. I'm also going to inject another one here. Both of these are free in Monkey Tools, by the way. This is called Smart File. I'm just going to inject that, get it ready to go here. What the fn get parameter function does is it reads from a table to bring it into Power Query. And what I'm looking for right now is this nice little thing here called file prior. This is a file path, so I'm just going to go and Control C to copy this. I'm going to double click on my fn get parameter. I'm going to dive into Power Query, go to my parameter name, paste it, and invoke the function. And if we go and we take a look at this one here, yes, Goshber, I see you cringing as I do this, but that's all good. We can see that we've got the file name that's been pulled out of the cell into Power Query. Okay, so that's the first part, but I actually want to get the contents of the file, so I'm going to go fn smart file, open parenthesis, close the parenthesis there. We're going to say OK, and the preview apparently is 2 days old. This is essentially the same as going and saying get an external workbook from that file path. This is what we have. I can now drill into the prepaids table. There is the table of data that is in the previous workbook. And now I'm just going to make a quick change here. We're going to go to our opening balance. We're going to go all the way over to our ending balance, and we're going to change the column type here to currency. We're going to replace that. Reason I have to do that, my usage manual here has whole numbers, so I don't want to lose my decimals. So I'm going to replace that, and there we go. And this invoked function is going to be called prior month. And I'm going to try and capitalize that because I have OCD. And there we go. We're going to put that in raw data connections, and we'll move these two guys here into my functions. And we can say close and load. And at this point in time, I now have a nice little prior month query that is set up to read from the previous workbook. Okay, now, how this works, I'm using some formulas here to pull out the current file name, to strip off the date, and then I'm hashing that backwards to get last month's file in a formula that I'm feeding into Power Query. Okay? So, the next stage that I need to do is I need to get my Power Query so I can read from that and update this table. The problem is, though, is that I already have a table here. Let me just move that a little bit. I already have a table here which is called prepaids, which means that I cannot create a new table called prepaids in the workbook. So I'm just going to go and rename this one here to _old. And we're going to go and just insert a few new rows here. So right-click, insert, and that's not going to work for me. Come on, let's do it here. Nope, escape, thank you. Love it when Excel cooperates with me and does what I tell it to, not what I want it to. Okay, this is going to be the target for a table. So here's how this is going to work. I want to do that entire roll forward work of copying and pasting right off the bat here. So we're going to right click and we're going to reference this query. This apparently is also 2 days old, even though it was just created. Now, let's call it prepaids because that's the name of the table in the previous workbook. And from here, I need to do some data cleanup. And I have to get this extremely right, bearing in mind that it's 2 o'clock in the morning where I am, and if I get this wrong, it blows up the entire demo. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this will all work right. So we're going to remove a total row. We're going to choose some columns, and I'm going to get rid of all of my opening balance columns. Get rid of all these guys here. So we got an ending and remaining months. That's cool. I am going to... I wish I had a bigger monitor, but I'm going to go over to my opening balance. I'm going to double click on it here, and I'm just going to change this one here. So this is going to be my opening. Make sure I spell that right. And this one here is going to be my remaining, and that is not at all what I want to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Opening. Can't spell that right. Typing standing up is really hard. All right. We'll move this over to here so they are in the same order as my other table. And now I need to add 2 more columns. Now, if you actually look at this, there's multiple columns that are off to the side here, but I only need 2, and they need to have these exact names. And these have line breaks in them just to make it a little bit harder. So here is what we're going to do, is we're going to add a column, a new custom column. And the first one that we are going to do is we're going to give this a name which is called transactions. And we're going to put in hash quote or character LF. Let me just bigify that a little bit there. So, and that one is also going to be posted. Okay. The hash LF is to put in the line break. We're then going to go over here. We're going to type in a nice little null. That's our complicated formula. We're going to hit escape to dismiss the Power Query IntelliSense. It's super frustrating. And then we're going to go and say OK. And Power Query helpfully gives me a new column called hash LF posted. We just need to get rid of this. Okay, so Power Query is being a little bit too helpful, and there we go. Now, how do I know it worked? If I double click on it, I can see the line break in place. Okay, so that's the first part. I need to do one more of these. So this one is going to be usage space dash, and then we got a hash LF, and this is manual. And again, null. We'll just hit escape to get rid of the IntelliSense. There we go, our super complicated formula that it returns an empty here. And if I look at this one, once again, I've got this column header here. I just need to get rid of the extra hash in quotes that are in parentheses that I got there. And now that should look a little bit better. Okay. Final step, grab these 3 columns, change type to currency. And at this point, even though there's extra columns in the table in the worksheet, this is as far as I need to go with Power Query at this time. So we're going to go home. Close and load 2. We're going to go to a table. We're going to put it on an existing worksheet in A5 and say OK. And then it gives me this horrible orange ugly thing. I don't know why in this workbook it gives that. It's probably a reason. I don't really care that much either. But at the end of the day, if I just get rid of the Power Query pane here, you'll notice that I've got something that has gone a little bit strange on me here. Let me just see what is going on with this one. Why am I not seeing any text in that? That was not part of my demo. Let me just make sure. What is going on? It's even there. Oh yeah, I've never seen this before. Let's see if this goes sideways on me. So I'm going to make a couple changes to this one here. We're going to go grab the table design. We're going to get rid of this horrible, ugly color right away. We're going to make that blue the way I like to see it. We're also going to go to properties, and we're going to uncheck this adjust column width so it doesn't resize all the time like pivot tables do. So we'll get rid of that one. We're going to add a total row. This won't work because it's going to move tables cells in my worksheet. Oh, I love it. That's fantastic. What is going on? I told the guys before I started this that if this goes horribly wrong, my entire demo is completely stuffed, which makes this super, super fun. Brilliant. Love it. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Unfortunately, I'm going to fall into a backup spot with this, but I want to show you a couple things that hopefully I can get through this part of the demo here. One of the interesting things around working with this tables have formulas, they have conditional formats in them, it's got all kinds of stuff. If you copy this and you paste the entire thing on top, it brings the data across and everything looks good. But the refresh button is gone. Okay, so that's not cool. So we're just going to go and undo these. But if I grab the header and paste the header first, and then I go and grab all the data rows. Actually, I'm going to see if I can grab the total row too. Let's see if it'll play nice. and we paste that. Yeah, it's giving me a little bit of a problem here. But the refresh button still works. Oh, awesome. There we go. It's coming back. It's gone again. Too much power. I think we're rebooting over here, because that one's good still. So what's interesting is when you copy these two table segments separately, it actually opens up the refresh again and it comes back, which is kind of interesting. So, and I'm not sure why my total row is not allowing me to actually set it on this table. Oh, now it's going to. That's fun. Let's see if that'll actually play. All right, so if we do a total here, let me see if I can get this in place here. We're going to go sum. There is something that is seriously sideways on this, because that total is not supposed to be over there either. So, any rate, the important part around what I've done here is I'm trying to recreate the scenario that we have. What happens next, once I've got the table all set up ready to go, I need to delete this one, but the problem is that I've still got some formulas down here which are pointing to the old table. So once I've got everything set up the way I need, we're going to go Control A, Control A, Control A. We can do a nice little control here, and we can change out prepaids _ old with prepaids. This is going to replace all of our formulas to point to the original or the new table that we actually have here. And at this point, if I come back and I say delete, at this point now I should, let's see if this blows up, be able to refresh this and everything should just work. Now, I am going to go and fall back into a backup point because I'm not real happy with these things showing up the way they are right here. But at the end of the day, I've now got a Power Query which is reading from the same table, sort of, in the previous file to actually bring the data across. Okay? So let me kill this one off. I'm just going to come back to a backup point here. Oh, come on. I want this one right. Come on. You wouldn't believe that I've practiced this demo like 12 times, right? And the general sum of times that I total practice a session before I do something for a conference is actually 0. This will learn me. All right, so at the end of the day, let me just go back and save this here. I'm going to save this one. We're going to get rid of the Z. We'll save it over top of the old one, make sure that everything works the way that it's supposed to here. And here is the important part that I want to show you about this, is that if I now come back to this and say right-click and refresh, what you will see is that it should, if Power Query is going to play nicely for me here, takes the closing balance, copies it to the opening balance, and clears out the green input cells in the center. That's done. Okay, well, thank you for that, for the one person that yelled. I appreciate that. So, formally I'd follow the VBA for this, but no VBA inside this thing at all here. So, now the thing to understand of this course is that there's another stage to this whole piece, is that now I have to go through and I've got to look at these transactions and I've got to figure out what to do with them. So it looks like I've got some hotel bills here. These were supposed to be expensed in August, so I'm going to go copy these and say, hey, you know what, let's go put these in here. This is manual usage. I should probably show you on this one that if I overdo it, there's some conditional formatting on this one here. You're also going to see that if I insert a new transaction in this listing as well, it turns orange. That's because it hasn't been completed here. So this is 2024-08-13, and we are going to start expensing this as of 2024-08. Oh boy, 2024-08-01. This is going to be an automatic. We're going to do it for over 12 months, and the total cost of this software package was $660.19 for a year. And at this point, this is all now set up. So it's a nice little conditional formatting on there to say, hey, you're not finished. There's some to say things went negative. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to hit save. Now, you might wonder, where did I get that transaction? From the pile of paper that I printed off and was reading through GL transactions. And as fun as that is, I'd really rather not have to do that. So, here's what we're going to do. Save as. Let's go save this. Not online, please. Let's go save this as a September 30th file. Of course, we save it as September 30th. Immediately, we get a nice little lambda that says you haven't updated the date yet, so we'll change this to 09-30. Okay. Let's see what happens if we now go and say, data, refresh. It rolls forward, the schedule's ready to go. But I still need to go and find my manual transactions, and that's like so much effort. I'm not doing that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a little bit of routine to make this happen for me. Now, excuse me, in order to do this, I'm gonna need a couple of other things. Right now, I have a file that is pulling from the previous month. I also need to get a file or get some data from a GL transactions file that I have on my system. I also need to be able to filter that transaction file down to just the current month. And in order to do that, I happen to have hidden away in these things here, on hide, the pieces to do this. So there's a current month cell right there. That's where I can get the current month from. I also have the file path on my local system, by the way. This is important, come up later, to the individual file where the GL transactions are. So let's go get our current month here. So if I just go copy this, current month, I'm gonna go back to fn get parameter. You have to say that slowly. One person got that joke, okay. I'm just gonna go and call this current month, but if you look really carefully at what's happening here, my current month, even though it has the current month showing in here, is formatted as text down here. That's not gonna work for a date filter, so I do need to go and just modify this really quickly. Date.from, we'll say end, we'll hit enter, and today it's gonna work, that's nice. And there we go. So I now have my current month. I'm gonna put that into my functions and parameters here. Now, I need to go get the GL file, and I need to filter it. But, because I don't want to cut into too much of Mark's time on his presentation when I go over, I'm gonna go and use a little trick to go and get the current month file. So what I could do is I could read file GL via fn get parameter, and then I could wrap it in the smart folder function. And again, with Monkey Tools on a free license, you can insert both of these functions into your workbook. If you're on a pro license though, you can be super lazy, efficient. We have this thing called the Smart File Monkey, which will inject both of those queries for you, and then it pops up and says, what do you want to call it? And I'm gonna say, well, let's call this GL-transactions. Try and spell that correctly. And it says, where is the variable? And it's reading all these guys here. So I'm going to say, let's go get this from the file GL. We'll say, okay. And it goes and creates and puts all the things together for me, so I don't even have to type. And I love not typing. It's brilliant. It gives me a nice little picture of the CSV file. You would see this if you browse through things that are in the right way. If you double click on it, there is my GL transactions file. So that's kind of cool. So let me just move that up into the raw data sources. I'm also going to call out real quickly here. How many of you, when you've been building Power Query, have run into the dreaded formula firewall? Yeah, not with this. This is actually architected specifically to avoid that problem, just for what it's worth. Okay, now, I have my GL transactions, but I need to go through and do the process of the whole GL cleanup file. But you know what? What are we at for time here? Still good? Okay. So I'm going to do this a little bit faster. I happen to have stored inside my BiblioMonkey file here, I happen to have the query. This is the raw M code of the query. But you'll notice we got a couple things highlighted in here. These are prompts that I inserted into my BiblioMonkey. Again, you can do this for free. You can just right-click, say Add New Prompt. I want a prompt to pop up a query when I run this. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and say Inject. And it says, okay, cool, what do you want to call this one here? GL Prepaid is a good name. Where do you want to load it? Connection only is fine. Where is your GL listing? This is because this is the prompt that I wrote, so I'm going to say GL Transactions. What's the current month end? So it's the current month. We're going to say Inject. So it's now going to go and inject this query into my workbook. And here it is. So I've written this before, right? There's all the steps on the right-hand side. I'm not going to walk through all those. But it basically reaches back to the GL transaction, puts it through a whole bunch of data cleaning steps that I wrote manually way back in the day, and then filters it down to a particular piece in order to come up with the version that I need here. So say, okay, well that's cool. What can I do with it now? I can go to prepaids. I can go append queries. I can append my GL transactions. Ooh, nope, GL prepaids, let's get the right one. Stacks them on the bottom, brilliant. Close and load. And now, I happen to have the new GL transactions that have come in. So this is cool. I can go and say, awesome, these are hotel transactions. These are both supposed to be expensed on 2024-10-12. This one is 2024-10-1, and we'll make both of these auto since we know what they are. Each hotel stay is consumed in one particular period. These are manual transactions, so we'll get rid of those because they've already happened. And paste, and there we go. The schedule is now reconciled to the point that I actually need it done. So, once again, we can hit save, and then if we want to take it forward, save as, we'll go to 10/31, we'll say save, replace, we'll update our date, and we'll refresh. Now, this looks awful, but actually it's beautiful. And the reason it's beautiful is because these two red lines are, we can see some negative numbers there. My accountant actually posted transactions into the general ledger listing. He didn't need to because the schedule was going to do it all for him, but he didn't know. So at this point in time, I'm just going to go back and say, okay, well, instead of these being automatic, we're just going to change these back to manual. And I'm going to go and copy this value and paste it here, and then we can get rid of this row because that one doesn't need to be there anymore. And then I can copy this one here and paste it up here. And this is the human part of a reconciliation. This is the thing that we should never, ever outsource, because the whole point of doing this job is to try and figure out what's happening here. And I've got a couple more transactions, right? Looks like I've got a travel expense here. I've got some insurance here. I've got another hotel here. This one can be expensed, 2025-02-01. That's not no-2. 02-01. What was our insurance? 2024-10-01. And then our last one here. I don't know what date this one's going to be doing, so I'll make these ones auto. This is going to be a 1 use, this is a 12 use, and this is a 1 use. And at this point in time, this schedule is now save and done. Now, thanks. So you can already see, right? Save as, roll for, do a refresh, and we're good to go. Here's one more question for you, though. I didn't actually call this out as I was going through this, but I'm going to call it out now. Is that in my table here, my file paths here are actually generated, and you can see they're all on my C drive. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and change this one here to be dynamic. And dynamic uses the Excel cell function to go and actually pick up what these file paths are, and now all the file paths are in SharePoint. If I go and hit refresh right now, is this going to work? I am changing the file path from local to a SharePoint file path to connect to my CSV and Excel files. If I hit refresh, will it work? So Christian's been to my presentations before, so the answer was normally, no. Normally it's an extremely frustrating process, but with Monkey Tools, the whole reason why I use this smart file is because now I can actually come back here, and I'm going to lose my transactions that I did, of course, but if I hit refresh on this one here, well, of course, we get this thing here. Why, when I'm already signed into Microsoft on my account on my computer and in Excel, and I use the same credentials for SharePoint, why this has to come up, I don't know. Chris, do you know anybody that can get that fixed? Anyhow, privacy levels, I'll buy this one. That one makes sense. But here we go. If I hit refresh here, what you'll see is it's going to give all the color back here. Everything is going to go, oh, couldn't authenticate. Right. Let me connect using the same credentials that I used before. And at this point in time, why could you not? Oh, hang on. Haha. Organizational account. Let's use the right account. It always works better when you use the right account. That would be that one. I always love how it's like sign in as a different user and you click next, 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 next because it's the same user every time. And at this point in time, it will refresh now. Even though it's coming from SharePoint, it still actually grabs it. So this actually smartly handles this thing. Quite frankly, this is exactly how the connector should work that Microsoft shipped, but does not, which is why I wrote my version to go this route. Anyway, so that's it. That's the process of going through this thing and taking a look at how we can actually go and automate things with Power Query. So what have I done? Well, this roll forward process on the left here, I've been able to update everything in green. Could I go further? Could I automatically save as a new file? Not with Power Query. Can I update the date to the new month end? Actually not with Power Query, and this has to do with the fact that there's no way to actually capture the states because you've done it more than once. So for that, we'd need VBA or Office scripts. But my sort of main goal here was, can I eliminate or remove some of the process in the middle there and actually have it set up so that I can then take my focus to what's on the right-hand side of this document. So overall, the data-specific roll-forward tasks are now gone, and we can allow our users to shift to the thinking part of the role, which is where they should be. In case you are interested in Monkey Tools, you can find your own monkey here. It has its own website at Monkey Tools. Fun fact, if you actually ask today, did monkeys use tools? Some AI overviews come back and say, yes, they did. They used monkey tools. I love that. Anyhow, there's a knowledge base. We also have a free course there as well. If you register for my Self-Service BI Academy course, we give you Monkey Tools for free as part of your benefits. And if you'd like to try Monkey Tools Pro license for 90 days, there is a nice little QR code that you can go and snap there. And if you run into any issues at all using Monkey Tools with Cyrillic characters in Bulgarian, please let me know. I like to find these things and try and fix it. I don't read a lick of Bulgarian, but debugging things in a foreign language like that is fun. Anyhow, that's it for me. Thanks very much. I hope you saw something interesting.
Huh?